Hi guys, Jose here. Wanted to talk about the engine choices in the 2020 F150. Wanted to go over some of the claims they have and just kind of try to explain the differences and the capabilities, and also kind of give some clarity on some of the purposes that these things have. A lot of people come in thinking a certain way and they leave with a different engine or a different outlook. So when they, especially here at the dealership, we see a lot of different buyers, things like that. So I want to kind of go over that, break it down with you guys. First off, Ford does have top honors in payload, towing, horsepower, and torque in the half-ton class. And there are some pretty close contenders, but Ford does hold a pretty commanding lead on all that. Payload, you can get as high as 3270, so 3,270 pounds payload and 13,200 pounds in towing is pretty high. The horsepower and torque numbers come from the 3.5 Ecoboost, the high output version, which is 450 horsepower, 510 foot-pounds of torque. That's found in two different models that we have, but they both are half tons. Start with is I want to kind of talk about those claims and how Ford achieves them, right? So payload capacity, that's passengers, cargo, things like that on the truck, in the bed, in the cab, not on a trailer, but actually the frame itself. So to achieve that 3,270 pound payload, how do you do that? Well, it's on a certain configuration, which is going to be an F150 in the 141 inch wheelbase V8 regular cab. So that's going to be a regular cab with an 8-foot bed, 2-wheel drive, and you also have to have the heavy duty payload package on that. Now, the heavy duty payload package, that gives you a 373 locking diff, certain eights, as a special 18-inch wheel and tire that you're going to get on that package, and it also comes with a 36-gallon tank. So that being said, most people though that buy these F-150s, they're not buying regular cab 8-foot beds with the heavy duty payload. They're buying the 2-wheel drive STX crew cab or the XLT 4x4 crew cab or a Lariat. So realistically, your payload's not going to be 3,270 pounds. You're going to fall anywhere from 1,700 to 2,000. The next claim is best in towing, which is 13,200 pounds. So to get that figure is actually not with a V8, and it's not even with a regular cab. That's going to be on a crew cab, 2-wheel drive, 157-inch wheelbase. So that's going to be a crew cab with a 6.5-foot bed. More than likely to get the maximum towing, you're going to want a stripped-down version, okay? But it's going to be with the 3.5 Ecoboost, and it's going to be one that has the max trailer tow package. So it's not a heavy-duty payload. It's going to be the max trailer tow, and it's going to be any of the crew cab long beds that are rated to have a gross combined weight rating of 18,600. That's how you achieve the 13,200 pound towing capability. Most people don't pull that. Most people are going to get, again, the crew cab platinums, the Lariats, the King Ranches, things like that. XLT with the 2.7, things like that. So what you can expect out of a regular run-of-the-mill F-150, honestly, depending on your engine, your cab, your axle, what tow package you get on it, I would say average falls between 7,000 and 10,000 pounds of towing capability. And that's what I want to get into with the different engines. So again, for 2020, there's 6 engine choices. And there's 2 transmissions. There's a 6-speed, only available on one engine, and then the rest of them get the 10-speed. So with the 3.3, we'll start there. So that is your base engine in the XL. A lot of the work trucks are going to have that. The 3.3, I don't want to spend a lot of time on because it's not a very mainstream engine, unless, of course, you're talking about fleet. The 3.3 is available with the 6R 86-speed that we've all kind of gotten used to in the F-150. The 3.3 is basically an evolved version of, there was the 3.7, then it became the 3.5, and now it's the 3.3. Better fuel system, better compression, things like that. Keeps this little thing relevant in the lineup. Plus, it's so cost effective. A lot of fleet companies are using these trucks, and they tow okay. They still do the job. They make about 290 horsepower and 265 foot-pounds of torque. So depending on whether you get a 2 or 4-wheel drive, you can get a payload of up to about 1990, so 1,990 pounds, and a max tow rating of about 7,700. So even though it's, you know, a little basic V6, it'll still do some work. This engine's available in all the cab and chassis configurations. So regular Super Cab, which is extended, and the Super Crew, which is the 4 full-size doors, and then all the bed lengths. So you can get it in the 5.5, 6.5, or 8 foot, depending on the cab. The fuel economy, real world, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna fall around 20, 21 maybe, combined. That's you know, I don't like to just get into city and highway. We live in Dallas here, so we see a lot of stop and go. So real world numbers, you know, if you had one that had the 355 axle, you're probably gonna see around 20, 21. If you get one with the 373, a little less. Kind of the first mainstream engine, and it's probably the one that gets more hate than any of them. It's the 2.7 Ecoboost. Personally, I like this little engine. I think it's a great platform. I really like this engine. It's by far my favorite. It comes paired with the 10-speed. It makes 325 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. Same as the 5-liter, so we'll get to that. But this engine hits really hard because of its small turbos, bolted directly to the head, high compression, direct injection. You don't have to run premium in it, and you can get the 325 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque out of it. You can get it in a 355 or a 373 axle. Most of the time you'll see 355. This engine is a $995 option over the 3.3. So you have the 3.3, and then you have your upcharge from there. So all of these engines I talk about are going to have an upcharge except the high output, which I'll explain that. But $995 gets you the 2.7. It is available in the XL, XLT, and the Lariat. Kink Ranch, Platinum, Limited, and Raptor obviously don't get this engine as a choice. It's also available, depending on the trim, in all cabs. So what I mean by that is, in a Lariat, you can't get a regular cab. So you're not going to get a 2.7 in a regular cab Lariat, but you can get it in a regular cab XLT or an XL. Super Cab, you can get all the way up through Lariat. Super Crew, obviously all the way up through Lariat. So depending on trim, depends on what cab. The 2.7 can have a maximum payload rating of 2,470 pounds. Now that's on a regular cab, 2-wheel drive long bed. Max trailer towing capability of the 2.7 is 9,000. That's achieved with a Super Cab, 2-wheel drive in the 373 axle. Now most of these 2.7s, you're going to see them in your STXs, you know, your 301 and 302A PEP code XLTs, you know, 2 and 4-wheel drive, and now we're seeing them a lot more in Lariats too. Payload is, I would say, average payload is going to be around 1,800, depending, because like I said, most of these are going to be crew cab, 2 or 4-wheel drive short beds, probably be around 1,800 pounds. Average towing, it's safe to say if you get one like a crew cab XLT with a tow package, 7,700 pounds is a safe rating, depending on equipment, what wheels you have, things like that, what axle you have. Fuel economy, that's where this engine shines. It really does live up to the name. It lives up to the hype. I personally had a 2016 F150 with a 2.7, so it was a Gen 1 2.7. You know, I was getting real world numbers combined around 20 miles per gallon on a 4-wheel drive. You know, they say you can get up to 26 on the highway. I personally never did, but again, I had a 4-wheel drive with 355 axle. So a 2-wheel drive, I think with the smaller wheels and tires, maybe it's possible. But real world numbers, low 20s is very achievable for a combined fuel economy rating with it. So next, we'll talk about the 5.0. So the 5.0 is going to be $1,995, so $1,995 more than a 3.3, $1,000 more than a 2.7. It will come with a 10-speed. It's rated at 395 horsepower this year and 400 foot-pounds of torque. Same torque as that 2.7 makes. And that is all rated on 87 octane. New updates to the 5.0 in the recent years has been the direct and port injection. So that combined with the higher compression, which is bumped now to 12 to 1, on these new Coyotes in the trucks has, in conjunction with the variable cam timing, the new tuning and all that, a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, a little bit more power. But the big deal is where its benefit is over the 2.7 is going to be that mid-range power, middle of the pedal feel. It's going to feel more responsive. I still think the 2.7 hits harder, but the 5.0 has its place. And this engine is available in all cabs across the different trim levels, all the way up to the Platinum. So you can get in a regular cab XL, XLT, and then Super Cab, XLT, XL, and Lariat, and then of course, all the crew cab versions in 2 and 4-wheel drive. It is a 10-speed. Now the 5.0, again, we talked about earlier, is the one that achieves the maximum payload. The maximum towing of a 5.0 is about 11,500, and that's a Super Crew with a 6.5-foot bed in a 4x4. So again, it comes down to that, certain specifications are going to get you where you want to be. And also that another thing that's going to be with a 373 axle. But the average 5.0, whether it be an STX with a 331, 355, an XLT, a Lariat, a King Ranch, a lot of these are going to have 355 axles. Some will have 331s. But you can confidently tow with these trucks 9,000 to 10,000 pounds all day long when they're equipped with the right tow package. And the reason I say that is the non-tow package ones have a Class 4 hitch, and they don't have the big transmission cooler on it. So if it were me and I was getting a 5.0 and you planned on towing, get the tow package. It does get really good fuel economy for what it is. It's not going to blow your mind or anything like that. And it's all going to depend on which axle you get. So this one can be had with a 315, a 331, a 355, or a 373. So you can really tailor the 5.0 to what you want it to do. I've seen people get 22 miles a gallon on the highway in a 4x4 5.0 before. Not saying that that's going to be common for everybody. It all depends on how you drive. But I have seen it. Real world numbers, though, I'm going to say high teens, 18, 19 combined is a safe number for the average run-of-the-mill 331 or 355 axle 2-wheel drive 5.0. That's a pretty safe number. Again, depends on where you are. Here in Dallas, we have 75 mile-an-hour speed limits most places now, but most of us drive 80, 85. So you're not going to see the good fuel economy that you can see out of this thing. But I've seen low 20s before. The next engine we're going to talk about is probably one of the most famous in recent years for Ford, is the Ecoboost. Now there's 2 different versions of the 3.5 for 2020. There's the regular, as I call it, and then there's the high output. The high output's only in Raptor and Limited. The regular 3.5 is a $2,995 option. So $2,995 over your 3.3 and $2,000 more than your 2.7 or $1,000 more than your 5.0. The standard 3.5 makes 375 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque on 87 octane. Again, regular unleaded. Don't have to run premium if you don't want to. It is mated to the 10-speed, just like the 2.7 and the 5.0. The engine's available across all cabs, depending on the trim, and it's on all trim levels except Limited and Raptor. The engine has the same axle options as the 5.0. So you get the 315, 331, 355, and 373. However, so in the 5.0, to achieve maximum towing, you go with the 373, whereas in the 3.5, you're going to go with the 355 in the max trailer tow package. So that is a package that requires 1, 3.5 Ecoboost, 2, 355 axle. It's also going to give you trailer brake controller, Class 5 hitch, and everything else that goes with it to achieve maximum towing for that configuration. Most of these trucks with max trailer tow on, let's say, a Lariat, let's say a King Ranch, you're looking at something that can tow around 11,000 to 12,000 pounds pretty comfortably. Okay. The 13,200 is going to be a 157-inch wheelbase, so crew cab, 6.5-foot bed, 2-wheel drive with a max trailer tow. That's going to get you your 13,200 pounds. Not very many trucks are going to be configured that way. We rarely see them, but we have. But that's how you get to that number. Most of these trucks, like I said, are going to be in that 11 to 12,000 range. Maximum payload for the 3.5 is a little bit lower at 3,230. Now that's a regular cab long bed 2-wheel drive to carry that much weight in an Ecoboost. But average payload I think is somewhere between 1,990 and 2,100. So let's just call it about a 2,000 pound payload average for most of these 3.5 Ecoboost trucks that you're going to run into on a car lot, not specifically ordered in a certain way, city and highway. The EPA, I believe, rates it at 18 to 19, so it's pretty spot on. The real world numbers, though, will come down to how you drive, which axle you have, 2 or 4-wheel drive, things of that nature. I've always had 4-wheel drives, and like I said, high teens was common for me. So next, the 3.5 high output. Now again, that's only Raptor and Limited. Those are the only two that are going to get that. The reason it's called the high output is it makes 450 horsepower, 510 foot-pounds of torque. It's mated to that 10-speed transmission. There isn't a price point on this engine like there is the other ones because it is part of the trim level. That's part of the package that gets you Raptor or Limited. It's not a standalone option. You can't get it. You can't special order it on any of the other trim levels or anything like that. So there's not really a cost for it. 93, but it is tuned for 91. It does have a little bit more boost than a regular 3.5. Tuning's a little more aggressive, and both of them will have true dual exhaust instead of the Y-pipe 2-to-1 style exhaust that comes on the other Ecoboost. The suspension of the Raptor hinders its towing and its payload capabilities. The Limited, I think, is really, really hindered by its 22-inch wheels and those Pirelli tires that come on it. The Raptor has a 410 axle, but that's really for acceleration purposes. The Limited will come with a 355, so you get a little bit better fuel economy out of the Limited than you will the Raptor. EPA gives the high output the same ratings as the regular 3.5. That's not true at all. You will not achieve anywhere near the numbers from a Raptor that you will in a regular Ecoboost. It's just not going to happen. If you can get a combined rating of 16 or 17, you're doing pretty good. That's what I've seen personally. A buddy of mine and his Raptor, and his actually has an intake and a tune on it. He gets about 16 to 18, something like that. So I don't think it's fair to say it's got the same rating as the regular one, because it doesn't. The Limited may be a hair better because of the axle, but being with the new 10-speed, I don't know that the 355 to a 410 is going to be that drastic when it comes to overall fuel economy in those higher gears, 8, 9, and 10 gear. So I personally haven't driven one long term, so I can't really speak on real world numbers for it. But if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be more because of the aggressive tuning and stuff. I think it's just not, you're not going to see the return on fuel economy from it, even though it has a 355. As far as payload and towing, though, I would compare it more to a 2.7 as far as figures, as what it can carry. A Raptor, I wouldn't tow more than 7,500 pounds with it. Limited, same thing, and it's mainly because of those wheels and tires. So that's kind of my take on the high output. I don't really have the solid, real world numbers because I've never had one. I've never had a Raptor. I've never had a Limited. I can only go off what people have told me, but I do know the EPA is wrong on those. So the last engine I want to talk about, by far is my least favorite engine. I'm not a fan. Just not a fan of diesels and a half ton. I don't see the relevance in it. I don't see the value in it. You know, the 3-liter Powerstroke, it's actually a great motor. It's been around a while, actually. It's been used, I believe, overseas for quite a while, but I'm not a fan. It makes 250 horsepower and 440 foot-pounds of torque. It has also made it to the 10-speed. Now, don't get me wrong, Powerstroke, they make great, it's a great engine division for Ford. Great technology, very durable. I personally have an 18 F250 with a 6.7, so I like diesels. I know their value. I know their place. I know, the pros and cons of owning one. So, for me, in a half ton, I don't see the appeal. It's a $4,000 price tag. As of 2019, the 3-liter was a $4,000 price tag just to get that engine. It is available in all trims and cabs. We only had them in the higher end. We didn't get any XLs or XLTs. All the ones we had were King Ranches, Platinums, things like that. Already expensive trucks, and then you add on that $4,000 price tag. And if you think about it, it's really only $1,000 more than the Ecoboost. Yes. However, there are other things that come with it. Exhaust fluid, the oil changes, just the overall maintenance. Diesel costs more than regular unleaded. So it wasn't just the price of the engine that's going to drive it out of relevance for me. It doesn't perform any, it doesn't tow anymore. It doesn't have any higher payload. If you equip one just right, you can tow about 11,400 pounds with the 3-liter Powerstroke. And payload's up, again, different configuration than the towing one, but up to about 2,020 pounds. So can you get 29 miles a gallon out of it? Yes you can. Our Ford rep did, out of his tester that he had a couple customers that have bought some from us tell us that, yeah, they're getting 29-30 miles a gallon. Awesome. If that's all you're doing and that's all you're chasing, by all means, it could be the engine for you. If you're towing a lot of miles, a lot of, good combination of city and highway, I don't see the benefit in that engine for most buyers. So I don't, I don't see the pros outweighing the cons here on owning a diesel that doesn't do what a Super Duty can do. You might as well go to a Super Duty, in my opinion. But again, that's all, that's just opinion for me. But and one last thing I want to touch on is all of these engines, 3.3 through the 3-liter, all of them come with auto start stop. That's a technology that cuts the engine off when you come to a stop and your foot's on the brakes. And you take your foot off the brake, it'll fire back up. Before you can even get on the accelerator, it's already running, and it's a pretty smooth transition. I like it. It saves a lot of gas, or diesel, however you look at it. It does save a lot of fuel. I like the feature. I tell a lot of people to give it a month. In your head, you come in thinking you're not going to like it. Just don't turn it off for a month and see if you get used to it. I promise you will. It is more seamless than you think. So I like that feature. You can trick the system into disabling it permanently. There are videos about doing this with a trailer light tester, and it does work. Make sure you get the 7-pin one, and it will basically trick the truck into thinking a trailer is connected, which by default will disable auto start stop. You'll have that little message pop up that says trailer connected, but it's better than pushing that auto start stop button every single time you get in the truck, if that's something you really do want to disable. And it doesn't void anything. Haven't had any problems with it. I've done it to show customers here at the dealership how it works, and it works really well. But I personally like the feature, so I leave mine on. You know, so it does help save a lot of fuel. So again, I recommend leaving it on. That's really all I've got for the 2020 engine lineup. You know, I didn't want to do a video of just how they drove, because in reality, you need to drive it for yourself. If you're going to buy one of these trucks, drive them. My only hope is that what you'll take from this is that you will walk into the dealerships with an open mind and really think about finding the right truck for what you need and what you want. What are you towing? What are you hauling? Is fuel economy the most important? Is it, really make a list of your needs and wants, and in the order. All of these engine choices are great for their intended purpose. Like I said, even the Powerstroke, my least favorite of all of them, it has its place. If you're going to be driving constantly down the highway and you're trying to maximize fuel economy, it will get the job done. I don't know that it's worth the price tag, but that's, again, up to the consumer, not to me to make that choice for them. You know, if you're not towing big dozers and, you know, trailers that you would have been towing with a 10-year-old 3/4 ton, these new engines are doing a lot more than they've ever done before. I mean, you got to think these new F-150s are towing early 2000s 3/4 ton numbers, and they're doing it with ease. So definitely try to go into a dealership with a little more open mind about them. Drive them. They do drive differently. Like I said, the 2.7 hits very hard. Acceleration is awesome. It does lack a little mid-range. The 5.0, good mid-range, fades off at the top. The 3.5, it's got decent mid-range, but it really pulls up top. So drive them, feel them out for yourself, and get a better understanding of what is your intended purpose for this truck. What are you hauling? Hope this was helpful. If you're looking to buy a new truck, a new F-150, I'm in the DFW area, or if you just have questions about an F-150 and you're thinking, what configuration do I need? You can email me at realtalkautoreviews@gmail.com. Appreciate you watching. Please give us a like and subscribe. I'm hoping to have more time to do more educational type videos like this. Mainly it'll be on Ford's product line. Here in our auto group, we do own some other brands, so I hope to branch out a little bit, touch on those. Also have some videos coming up of the 2020 Roush lineup with Ford, so hope to have that coming, and so you definitely don't want to miss that. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.